Well, hello and welcome to the latest New York Times Live. We are live from Istanbul, Taksim Square, which is the geographic and also, in some respects, the political heart of the city. In front of us is President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. If we turn a little bit to the right, we can see Gezi Park, which was the reason for the mass protests here in 2013, when thousands of protesters came here to demonstrate against the president. If we turn a bit further, we can see the very top of Istiklal Street, which is the main shopping street of Istanbul. It's the Champs-Élysées, or the Fifth Avenue of the city. I'll just turn the camera around so you can see who I am. I'm Patrick Kingsley, the New York Times' acting Istanbul bureau chief, and I'm going to be hosting a conversation today about the situation in Turkey, and in particular about the upcoming referendum. So if we turn around back to this picture of President Erdogan, you can see it says Evet, which means yes. It's a massive campaign poster for the referendum, in which he hopes that a majority of Turks in some 3 or 4 weeks' time will vote Evet, or yes, to plans to expand his powers. It's a controversial debate. His critics say that it would pave the way for a situation of one-man rule, and his supporters say that's not the case. It would just make him more accountable and increase stability in a country that is currently very unstable. If we turn around and we look again at Istiklal Street, or the top of Istiklal Street, and we walk towards it, we remind ourselves that that's where about a year ago a terrorist attack killed around 4 people, one of several such incidents in Turkey, which is the victim of 2 or so terrorism campaigns currently. This whole arena was, of course, the site of the Gezi protests in 2013 against President Erdogan. And then in the summer of last year, it was the site of pro-Erdogan protests. It was where hundreds, if not thousands, of pro-Erdogan Turks came to defend their president, to defend their democracy against a coup, or an attempted coup, in the middle of July. We're now going to make our way around to meet our 2 students from Bogazici University, one of the oldest American-founded universities in the world. We're going to meet Mert and Dilara, Mert is voting against the president's plans in the upcoming referendum, and Dilara is voting for them, and we're going to have a conversation about why they're doing that and about their thoughts on contemporary Turkey. And here they are, just on the right. Hi guys. Do you want to introduce yourselves? Dilara, why don't you go first? Who are you?
My name is Dilara Arslan, and I'm a double major student at Bogazici University in political science and sociology.
Wonderful. Mert?
My name is Mert. I'm pursuing a double major program, political science and history at Bogazici University. I'm also serving as a president of the student council in our university. That's all.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
We'll pivot back to Dilara. Dilara, you're voting in favour of the yes vote in the upcoming referendum.
Yes.
Why is that?
Well, I believe it will bring stability to our country that has, over the past not even 100 years, the Republic of Turkey has been found. And we've had over 60 governments. And this is a sign of instability and the failure of the current system to work, actually. And considering that the multi-party system that we see today only developed after the 1950s, and that was due to many problems and fights between the founding party of the CHP and all these other parties, and I find it to be much more a much more stable option for us.
Mert, what's the opposing view? Why are you voting no?
Yeah, I'm kind of planning to vote for. like because I really care the democratic values in our country. First of all, like the drafted amendments try to demolish the separation of the power. It's really important for our democracy, and also ISMI. The draft program claimed that the parliamentary and executive body election with the same time simultaneously. With what does it mean? Like executive body decides who will gonna be the parliament. So there is no separation power. And if you come to look at the judicial system, like it is the same thing. There is a really huge the president will have a huge impact on the judicial system. Will decide who is gonna be judicial system. Like so, like in this system there is gonna be no separation power. Like Turkey should remain as a democracy. Yeah, I know that we have lots of governments, but it's okay because the democracy will rise in this day. Many European country ruling with coalition or maybe during the same process, but they have a democracy. And Turkey is a developing country and really should care on their democratic value. That's why I'm gonna planning forward to remain Turkey as a democratic country.
Thank you, Mert. We're just going to pivot back to Lara. She's got something to add.
Yeah.
Well, concerning, for example, legislative, executive, and judicial power, if we look at the referendum and if we look at Turkey's condition today, the executive power and the legislative power are currently intermingled and one and the same. And I think with this referendum, in fact, it'll be more separated. Yes, they are on the same, elections will be on the same day once every 5 years, but we'll be voting on two different ballots. We'll be voting on one presidential candidate, and then we'll be voting for an individual candidate versus right now the closed party lists that we have. As for judiciary, the proposed referendum, if we actually look at the amendments, I find them to be quite similar to the current case in many other Western countries. So I'd see it as a step towards democracy. And considering what the current government has done in favor of democracy, in my opinion, from the 2004 package of women's rights to economic liberalism over the past 10, 15 years, I see this as just another step towards democracy.
We're going to pivot in a second to questions from the readers, which are starting to come in. I'm just going to address the fact there's a very loud building work going on in the background. That's I don't know if you can see it here because the sun is in our eyes, so to speak. But that's the construction of a huge new mosque that we might come to discuss later on in the conversation. So I apologise for the sound, but now you can at least see what it is. So we have a first question from a reader,
yeah.
which is sort of picking up what I was saying when I was wandering around the square earlier. So it's sort of a question to me, but I'll put it to you guys. So Ilyas, who's a reader from Turkey, asks, this is a referendum of a constitutional change on parliamentary government or presidential government. And Ilyas has queried what I said earlier, which is that it's a referendum on expanding, very specifically, President Erdogan's power.
Yeah.
So how do you guys feel about the way I presented it? You know, should I have said this is about President Erdogan himself, or is this more about generally the system of government?
Like, maybe it's first. Yeah, like the problem is that when I see the referendum dates or referendum discussion, I only have one question. Do we need the referendum? Like, do we have a really constitutional problem? Like, our first problem is constitutional problem. I don't think so, I guess, because in Turkey we have really many problems. Like, we have the terrorist problem, we have the unemployment problem. But I didn't be persuaded by the people who are saying yes to how this problem will solve how the referendum change will solve our problem. I'm not persuaded, but coming to question, I think Erdogan really wants to do a presidential system in this referendum. I guess that's why I'm thinking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dilara, what do you think of it? Is this about President Erdogan, or is it really just about a system of governments?
Well, if we look
And before I should just say this is the call to prayer you can hear in the background, and it will go on for a few minutes, but it will die down shortly. Dilara.
If we look at the current constitution, it's the 1982 constitution created in the aftermath of a military coup by the military junta. And just by reading the constitution, you can see that there isn't there aren't any liberties in it to speak with. And it's made to control civilians rather than enable them. I think that's kind of the reason why we need this new amended constitution. And if we look at the the proposed amendments into the constitution, I personally see a separation of powers between the legislative and the executive, and a more of a checks and balances system. Because once again, looking at the current constitution, chapter 7 is the one that deals with the executive power and the president. And in that article, I think article 125 or 124, it states directly that none of the president's actions can be questioned by judicial review. And if you read the entire chapter, I find it to be much more of an a more powerful proposal to the office of the presidency than is offered with the referendum. In fact, if you look into the packet that's offered, you see 5 other options or avenues for the parliament, or that's proposed for the parliament to actually impeach or force the president to resign. And those, for example, 5 avenues are non-existent today.
Okay.
Yeah, I would like to add something to what Dilara mentioned.
Quickly.
The process is also important, like the 5 steps maybe. But the people who gonna decide is also important. Like in the amendment, if we will pass, like all high Supreme Court or the parliamentary will determined by the president. Like if the president acts something wrong, who will gonna judge him? Like if the high Supreme Court will judge him, like the half of the majority of the support Erdogan. So I think the process is not so much important. The institution and the people are important in the system.
Thank you, Mert. We're going to turn now to a different question from a reader called Adam.
Yes.
He is in Morristown, New Jersey, and he asks, with thousands of academics being fired and accusations of US support of Gulen, who is the man accused of orchestrating last year's coup, what is the climate like for American academics in Turkey? Not just academics, it's a specific question, American academics in Turkey. Do you have any American professors? What's it like for them? And he's got a more specific follow-up question, which is the Fulbright English teaching assistant program to Turkey was suspended last July. What are the chances that it will continue this year? I'm not sure that's something you can comment on, but maybe what is it for our American readers? What's it like for American academics here? Is that something you know?
Dilara.
I only know one American academic at our university, and she's married to a Turk, so I wouldn't be able to answer that question. The academician who dismissed from the university, I guess there may be a link with the terrorist organization or Gulen organization. I don't know, but the number is really is increasing and really huge. Then one of our teachers, like our academics, the dismisses my academics. I know him. We take many classes, and he is really against all terrorist organization. He is against all the people who are against our country. But I think he dismisses his job. I think he's going to just be opponent, against our current government. I guess. Maybe some maybe in that case, but then when you look at the lists, there are so many other academics who are neutral or who have actually supported the current governing party. So I wouldn't be able, I wouldn't say that they're all removed based on just opposing the government.
Okay.
I'd say that there are other reasonings as well.
So we're going to move on slightly, and we have a question from Lara, a reader in the UK, and she asks, I am curious as to how supporters of Erdogan justified the imprisonment of more than 200,000 people. Now, I think she's got the numbers wrong because it's actually around 40 or 45,000. But the gist, you understand the gist of her question.
Yeah, I think it's concerning the Gülen movement and stuff.
Well,
I think
her question is simply, how do you justify the imprisonment of thousands of people, basically?
Well, I mean, I look at the reasonings behind all those imprisonments, and for me, that they actually make sense. All of these people are still actually active members of terrorist organizations, and I don't think any country would willingly want people of terrorist organizations walking around their country.
But what about journalists like Can Dündar? Is he a terrorist?
Well, he was, if I'm not mistaken, arrested for a specific event of reporting an incident that actually was misinterpreted. So, I mean, I don't know that. Like,
Okay.
I'd say you have to look at those on specific, case-to-case basis. But in general, well, I mean, those imprisoned are all terrorists. Like, they have actual evidence of them being arrested for supporting financially or, informally terrorist organizations. And I find that to be quite scary.
But what about a journalist like Kadri Gürsel? He's in prison. Is he a terrorist? Is he even financially supporting?
I don't know anything about that case, so anything I'd say.
But doesn't that cast a shadow a little bit over the wider crackdown if there are doubts over individuals?
I don't think this is a specific thing to Erdogan. Like, if we look at leaders all across the world, we see a lot of specific cases in which there have been wrongful or rightful imprisonments, and the details of those cases come out later on. So, currently, I think it's too early to say.
We'll move on. We have more questions. Johannes, a reader from Stockholm, asks very simply, do you feel free in Turkey?
Yeah, do you feel free in Turkey? We are traveling, we are just we are studying. Yeah, not so much level, but as a maybe opposite of the writing something to Erdogan, I think it's not feeling free. One of the cases, is really recently, one of the young men just create a video. In the video, he's supporting the no voice, just an ironic video. Then the end of this video, he said, if this video become famous, maybe I will be arrested, and just he's kidding. Then 2 days ago, he is arrested he's in the jail. I'm really upset for him, because he just support his idea. And he just create a video, but he's in jail, and many of my friends are really against these decisions. Maybe I can feel free. I'm not afraid. I can say whatever I want. But the problem, I do not trust our judicial system, judges or etc. There are really many political decisions in the country. That's why maybe someone who will not feel free. That's why actually.
Let's ask Dilara, do you feel free in Turkey?
Yes, in fact, I do. And I think that's actually the development of the current party. If you look at just even 5 to 6 years ago, I wear a headscarf. Someone like me would not be able to go to college or any type of university, which is a universal right to education, without having to take it off. I have cousins, close family friends who actually were first forced to take their headscarves off before entering university, either because of university regulations or just because their teachers felt like it. And this government actually brought that into, knocked down those inhibitions and brought them in. Also, it's on, again, similarly, it's only been a couple years since people who wear headscarves have been allowed into public offices and have been more welcomed into public spaces. And I think that, as well as many other initiatives taken by the government, have led to people like me being more free.
Got a new question. Lena, a reader from Germany, asks, do you think democratic values such as the freedom of the media are in danger in Turkey? Do you want to go first?
I actually don't, because if that was the case, then we'd only be watching one channel. And that's not the case. there's still many oppositional voices out there, many meetings, rallies, and like if freedom of media was the case, I don't see the reason for this election to happen. The president would just go on and continuing what he's doing by himself.
What's the
Yeah,
other
like
view,
I'm not
Mert?
agreeing with Dilara. Like our country is the most number of the like jailer, journalists in the jail. Like it's our country. Like I don't know the exact number, 150 I guess maybe. But this is the most number in the country in the world. Like, and another thing, if you watch the TV, like just change the channel, like you see the like really like limited one or two that are the opposite of the in the current government, and some of them are were closed really completely. I think there is no freedom of expression, or there is no freedom media in Turkey. There are many reasons for them, like also about the media system, but I don't think so. I'm not agree with the Dilara.
The two very contrasting views there. And we've got a relating question from Danielle, a reader in Brooklyn. She asks, from my vantage point as an outsider in the US, it feels inevitable that the evet vote, the yes vote, will win and the referendum will pass. Being in Turkey, does it feel like the higher voices, the no voices, are being heard and that there is a real shot at a fair vote? Dilara, do you want to go first?
The thing is, as someone who's voting yes, like a lot of my friends who are also voting yes don't explicitly say that they are, due to usually criticisms, or just they don't feel comfortable in voting and being able to say that they're voting yes. So, but I think it's a bit too soon to tell. I wouldn't be able to say anything. I mean, I obviously hope that yes wins, but I know a lot of people who don't explicitly say yes, and a lot of people who prefer to keep those opinions to themselves, really.
And I just want to pick up the second half of Danielle's question, when she says, does it feel like the higher voices are being heard and there's a real shot at a fair vote?
Could you rephrase that question?
Does it feel like people who are voting no can be heard, can speak freely? I mean, you spoke about it earlier, but maybe you could recap for Danielle.
I think they could. Like, I think on an individual level, people are more comfortable in being able to say that they're voting no. But like I said, I mean, this is like the first time I'm publicly saying that I'm voting yes.
Yeah, like I would like to add something. We are in the Taksim Square. Like we can check the all buildings. We cannot see any no campaign, just like the yes campaign in this square. And we are in the Taksim Square. Like there is a slogan about the Taksim. Like everywhere is Taksim, everywhere is resistant. But we are in Taksim, but there is no campaign. Maybe we can't see this fact, but like saying no, if you don't have any link with the governments, like if you don't have any job, if you have no job with them, like maybe you can say no. Like maybe people are saying no freely. But if you have some, linkage or interaction with the government, like I don't think so. Like if you say no, maybe he can lose his job, I guess, in this country. Many of them, we can read the many news about that.
Dilara, do you agree?
I think Taksim is quite subjective. On my morning commute to school every day, I see a lot more no campaigns and campaign posters, and not necessarily associated with parties, but just social initiatives and NGOs that are associated with no than with yes. And also, I think this also has to do with the fact that so many outside media, like media and governments, are encouraging people to vote no rather than yes.
We're going to move on to a question from Aniela. I hope that's the right pronunciation. Aniela is in Turkey, and she asks, I would like to know what both students think of the European media, and to what extent this media are giving a good or bad image of issues at stake in the referendum. And there's a second part to the question, which is, to what extent is the European media influencing Erdogan's strategies? Mert, do you want to go first?
Yeah,
with
like
that
the
one?
European media do not so much impacts on our current policy, I guess. Like nobody reads the European news, I guess, but there is a really rising nationalism about, especially the current development about in the Turkey. Like we have a crisis with Germany and Holland. Like there is a really rising nationalism against this development, but I cannot say the European media is so much important. Like our media, like is important or not? I'm questioning. Like we are. The media is so important. I agree with it, but our media, like I don't think so. Like I don't know.
Okay. Dilara.
I think it's quite, like on occasion, I think it's quite hypocritical because some of their critiques are, oh, it's getting so much more religious, secularism is going down and stuff like that. When in reality, when you look at Europe itself, you see populism and religiously affiliated parties such as the Christian Democrats on the rise. So I'm like on that, I see European media as someone who follows European media and European news broadcasts. I find them to be a bit hypocritical. But as for Erdogan's strategies, I don't think he really cares. I mean, they asked him and he said, we'll talk about it on the 17th of April. And kind of just shrugged it off.
You don't think he's sort of he's playing, you don't think he's trying to get a rise out of European media, out of European politicians, they then say something that goes against him or Turkey, and that creates more sympathy for the president inside Turkey.
Yeah, and Erdogan like benefits from them, like with the crisis. Like actually the same thing. It is the same thing from for the other countries like Holland. Like they are
the
using
Netherlands,
also.
The Netherlands were going into elections as well, and both. I mean, there's a lot of news on. I think it was the Guardian. In fact, I read it on of how both the far left and the far right had a lot to win by this diplomatic crisis between Erdogan.
Yeah, like then.
So like it's not just a one-sided thing.
And then it's rising the far right policy in all the world. You will see that the USA, like it affects all countries.
We'll move on. We've got a question from Mohammed in Australia. He asks, how do you feel about the rise of terrorism in Turkey? And I guess related to that is how safe do you feel? Does it make you make different choices about how you use public transport or where you go and have fun and so on?
This is the evil things for our country, like terrorism. Yeah, like we see all impacts on our every life. Like for instance, maybe it is the closest attack, the Reyna attack. We just celebrating the Happy New Year. Like we just in our home, we cannot go outside. We are afraid of that, but we half of the celebration we saw the Reyna attack. Yeah, like everybody is upset. Like, and another thing, we can see everywhere the police and the gun and big guns, and you can see this also as Taksim. There are many implementation over the security. It really affects our life. I hope we will save from this terrorism.
Just out of interest, are you someone that goes out at night to nightclubs or anything? Has this affected like what you do at night?
Yes, I guess it affects like especially transportation. Like I'm not sure. Like the people are still going. Like they are going and they are pursuing their everyday life. We should do that. I think like we should go. We should still travel. We shouldn't be afraid of the terrorism, because terrorism wants to do that. Like terrorism wants to at home. We shouldn't do like such thing, and we are continuing our life with the effects of the terrorism.
I definitely agree. Like the entire month of December was really horrible. Like there were so many terrorist attacks, and they just kept on occurring over and over again. And this is obviously very emotionally taxing. But like Mert said, we need to make sure that we don't change our lives and that we continue on our daily day-to-day our lives as we did before, and show that we're still together and we're not afraid in the face of terrorism. In fact, I think an example would be there was an attack in Taksim last year, and the next day they organized an event where everyone came to Taksim, and like they kept the shops open and they went shopping, and just to show a sense of unity.
So this kind of relates to what it's like to be a young person in Turkey today. You have all these threats, 2 different terror campaigns, you have a war on your doorstep, lots of people getting arrested for whatever reason. How do you feel amid all this tension?
Yeah, the young people has always hope for your country, like whatever happens for your country. But always we have a hope, because we will decide our future. We will determine our future. That's why we have always hope. But also we have some concern about the future as well, because we are living a country everything is become normal sometimes. How can I say, one of the Russian ambassador was killed in country, then what kind of country we will become? I really ask myself, we are living, especially I'm 23 years old, I live with these all tragic events. I really miss a normal country, as Turkey as a normal country. I miss it really, and I hope it will be soon, I guess, if young people become politicians and become more attractive to politics, and I think it will be changed over.
Dilara, what's it like to be a young person in Turkey today?
Adding on to what Mert said, I think it's very important to making us aware. I think the young population in Turkey is much more aware of what's going on, of politics, of sociology, of culture, and of the importance of these things than any, people of our age in other parts of the world. And it also makes us value what we have and what we don't have, and we can compare. Just for example, from my family, up until the coup attempts in July, they'd always say, you've never experienced that. You don't know the fear. You don't know what's at stake. You don't know what it's like to fight for what you believe in. And so, but after stuff like that, after that entire event, after reading and knowing about what's going on in our country and what we're doing, it creates a lot of awareness. And I think as a young population, which Turkey is mostly made up of youth anyway. Our population from 18 to 25 is equal, 45 is equal to the population of 45 and over. So it brings up a very aware youth, and I think that's very, very important for our future.
Maybe I would like to add something, being a young person. In our country, another problem is about the polarization. The politicians using really polarization language. They are always saying the other guys, they are saying no, and they are supporting the terrorism organization, etc. You are always seeing this campaign, but we are young and we are friends. We don't care the otherness and the polarization. It is really important for me. We are discussing the Dilara. Yeah. Dilara is my friend. I don't care his political view, but when we become the older men, they are always discussing. They are always. You are saying no, so you don't love your country. I'm really hate this, really this kind of language. We are young and we are different, I guess.
Are you rare though? The 2 friends like yours with opposing political opinions. Would you say there are lots of people like you, or that you're a rarity?
I guess yes. Yeah, if they are young, and especially at Bogazici University, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can discuss, we can understand each other.
It's all dependent on mutual respect for each other's opinions.
Yes.
He can say no, but that's his opinion, and I respect that, and I say yes, and he respects my opinion. That has nothing to do with what type of people we are. We're both nice, we're both kind, we're both honest. We need, and I think the upcoming generation is getting to that, where they keep political ideology aside versus an individual personality, and I think that's very, very important.
Well, that gives us a lot of hope. We've got 2 more questions.
Yes.
The first relates to Europe. So for the benefit of our listeners, there's been such a lot of back and forth over the last few weeks between President Erdogan and European leaders. A lot of animosity, really. He's called them Nazis, and there's been and Turkish politicians have been banned from countries like Holland in turn. And it's really brought into question whether Turkey, which is a candidate country for the EU, can ever really join the European Union. Do you think that these negotiations between Turkey and the EU about Turkey joining the EU, should they continue? Asks Murat, who is a reader in Turkey. And furthermore, do you feel European? Maybe Dilara.
I mean, joining the European Union, the accession to the EU has always been something that's been held over Turkey's head for such a long time. And you talk about the hostility between the two. I think our politicians kind of approach the topic as to how they're approached in the first place. We have to remember that Brexit, one of their slogans was, Turkey's going to come into the EU, we need to get out. If that's the back and forth, the hostility and the rising hostility, I think it's not something that we should be so surprised. Do I feel European? I don't know.
Yeah, joining EU is not much important for me. The important thing is the European Union values. I think it's much important. What does it mean? We need really freedom of expression, free media. We need to give more importance to human rights. Yeah, that's why actually the European Union is more important. But for me, it's really hard to join the European Union, I guess.
But very lastly, before we close, this leads us on to the final question, which is, what is the biggest misperception you feel that foreigners, people outside Turkey, have of Turkey today?
Yeah, ladies first.
No, you were on a roll. Go.
No, ladies first.
No.
Go on, Mert.
The other side of the people, about the Turkish perception, right?
What do people like me misunderstand about Turkey?
Yeah, how can I say? Maybe they see the Turkey as just read the news, then they interpret about the news, then they see the many terrorist attack. There are the problem in the country. Maybe they have this kind of perception, but we are developing country. We will have really good democracy. I really hope that then they shouldn't be interpreted about with this news. They have really compared the other news. They need the Turkish maybe media, I guess. What is the most misinterpretation? Maybe Turkey has really become. Maybe sometimes they say Turkey will become Iran or not. This kind of. I don't think so. Turkey has a different political culture, a different political history from the country. We have the really ongoing secular democratic country in the future. They don't worry about that, I guess.
Dilara, final words from you?
Yeah, I'd agree as well. There's always this misconception that we're on the verge of turning into, I don't want to give country names, but this, the Middle East, fiasco or something like that.
Theocracy.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And I don't agree with that. I find people who view Turkey with just that perspective quite Orientalist, if I may use the word, because that's definitely not the case. And there's so much more common things than you'd think between societies and what the Western media portrays. That everything what Mert said, he's basically said everything I was thinking, so I don't want to repeat the same things. But
No,
well,
your English was better than me, so
No,
it's okay.
not.
She's bilingual.
On that happy note, we will close things up. I'll just take the audience back to where we started. We have been live in Taksim Square, the heart of Istanbul, talking with Mert and Dilara, two students from Bogazici University, about the state of Turkey today. It's all in anticipation of a referendum on whether to expand the powers of the presidency, this man, Recep Tayyip Erdogan. Good afternoon from Istanbul.